OK. Alors, tourne. So, welcome to Sparkling Harmonies. We're your hosts, Lili.
François?
And we're two friends who don't quite listen to the same type of music, but who are here to talk to you about anything and everything music related. So, how's it going today, François?
Way much better than the last time we meet.
Yeah.
I
That's good.
think I'm more comfortable. A little bit.
I think that's what's gonna get. We're gonna get used to it, and then we're gonna get less stressed out and less jittery about it with time. And so, what are we talking about today?
We decided to do a bigger trip down memory lane, I guess, because we're going into our music journey since our, for you as a kid, but for me as a teen.
So probably around the same years then.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably.
So we have a few years apart, not that much, but a few years. So I think that they'll be really right around the same years. So let's start. So music as a kid for me, music was always a very big part of my life because my parents are big music fans. My dad still plays guitars. He has an electric piano. He sings with my mom. So music was always present in my household. But when I started to get into music, though, I didn't get into quite what my parents would have probably liked me to get into, which was the Beatles or classic French music. Nope, I got into boy bands. So around...
Yeah, but the Beatles were a boy band.
Yeah, but not the same type of boy band that I liked. So when I was a kid, I really liked any of those 90s boy band. I think I liked. So Backstreet Boys, NSYNC a little bit less. I was more of a Backstreet Boys girl. Soul Decision, O-Town, Dream Street. What else? Oh, so
Moffats, maybe?
The Moffats, yes. I love the Moffats. Yeah, so that was my childhood until probably around 11, 12. Yeah, I listened to mostly those pop boy bands with all those dance moves.
That was probably an easier access for you and probably your parents too, because that was safe.
Yeah, true. There was no
violence.
Yeah. There was no parent advisory stickers on the CDs I wanted. But then again, most of the time when I went to got those, I don't know. I don't remember. Do you remember if the sticker was on the plastic or was it on the actual CD?
Depends. From what I remember, there's a transition because I have older CDs that there's no stickers at all, not on the papers and not on the case, and I have some that are on the case, and now I think they are all on the I don't know,
the booklet.
The booklet.
Yeah, because what happens is when I was a kid, my dad, being such a big music fan, he was always so for those who are from Montreal, you'll know on Mont Royal Street there are all these used CD stores. So that's where I remember a lot going there a lot with my dad as a kid, because he wasn't going to buy me a new Backstreet Boys album. We were going to go find the used version of the Backstreet Boys album or whatever album I wanted. And so we would get them secondhand. And that's also something.
There's a treasure hunt. It's not just buying a new CD.
Absolutely.
You had to go through all the bins and probably find something else too.
Yep. But the thing is, even if there were stickers back then, if the stickers were not on the CD but was on like the plastic covering the CD, then they wouldn't have even known because we got them secondhand.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
that's a good point. I didn't think about that back then.
But no, I was a pretty innocent kid who didn't listen to any profanities. What about you? What about your childhood?
I'm the total opposite of you. We don't have a lot of music in our parents' house. My parents don't even listen to music.
That's
Like,
crazy. I can't even
the,
imagine that because music is everywhere.
yeah, but okay, yeah, they are listening to the radio, so yeah, they heard stuff, but there's no band link to my parents. Like, when my parents talk about music, it's more
Mm-hmm.
about memories link about those teenage years or family members.
Oh, I
Like,
see.
my dad, he always talk about Elvis because two or three of his older brothers were really into Elvis. They had
The
what they call
wigs,
them? No, the
the
bring
hairstyle.
yeah,
Oh,
the brain creams, like the really greasy stuff you put
oh
into
my
your hair,
gosh.
and they were going to the dance and stuff like that
But
during
not your
the
dad.
40s and 50s. No, no, he's the last one. And my dad, okay, little story. My dad was born in 1950,
Mm-hmm.
and he was the youngest son. So when his older brothers had kids, he was a kid. So it's a bit
Oh, okay.
weird. And for my mom, everything is linked to the Beatles, like yours,
Mm-hmm.
but it's more memories. Like, they were there. That was part of the environment. My mom went to the 1967 World Fair in Montreal,
Okay. Wow.
and back then, I'm not good with timelines, but I think it's Sergeant Pepper. But don't quote me on that. I'm not sure, but someone went into UK and bring back the vinyl in Montreal, and they did a listening party during the World Fair.
Oh,
So my mom remembered that event, but for her, it's just an event. It's not about the music.
right. Okay, I see. It's
So,
it's funny. I'm just gonna add this just reminded me of something. My parents actually met because my dad was going through my mom's brother's vinyls at her birthday party. And
oh,
because my
that's
dad
cute.
was my mom's friend's friend at her birthday party, at her 15th birthday party. And he got bored. So he was wandering around the house, and my mom found him going through my uncle's stuff by
Yeah,
his
that's cute.
vinyls. Yeah,
It's like a romantic movie starting point.
it is. Yeah. But yeah, so going back to, so your childhood was lacking music.
Yeah, a lot. And we had a little, I would say, emergency aid kit. Not really emergency aid kit, but because I'm from a little village back in the
Mm-hmm.
country, really far from Montreal. But my mom come from Montreal, so every holidays like Christmas and all the others, we came to Montreal. So it's
Right.
an 8-hour drive.
Oh
But
my
back
God.
then, there were section on the road with no radio reception at all. So we had a couple of cassettes
Oh, I
just
see.
to fill the gap. And I'm
Right.
pretty sure my parents used that just to cover the noise of me and my sister on the back seat. So I remember that, but otherwise, there was almost no music. I'm not even sure we had a
Really?
music system, stereo system to play music.
Oh, wow. Oh, so that really is the opposite of me. Now, so going into my teenage years, that is when I think I got more of an opinion myself, because back in the 90s, I think I just liked everything that I saw on TV, which was pop bands, pop music. And I mean, I liked boy bands, but I also liked the Spice Girls and S Club 7, but mostly boy bands. But then when the early 2000s hit, that's when I started to really like more rock. That classic pop punk. And so that's when I really got into Sum 41, Simple Plan, Blink, Good Charlotte, Yellow Card, all those types of bands. And I honestly still do like them. Like half of them don't exist anymore,
Anymore, yeah.
which
That's
is
sad
really,
because there were
yeah,
some good band in those.
there were. There
Uh,
were.
but maybe it's a good thing. There's a coming back of all the pop punk, emo
That's
pop
true.
punk with what his name? The drummer from Blink 182,
Travis?
Tribar. Travis Barker.
Yeah,
He's on many project right
he
now.
is. He's everywhere.
Yeah, with the first of all with Machine Gun Kelly that have
Hmm.
probably the first pop punk album in the last 15 years on the radio now,
Yeah, that's true.
and he's on many stuff like that, small trap rapper and stuff like that, and he bring
Mm-hmm.
back that maybe
Sound,
pop
that
punk,
kind of vibe.
yeah.
Yeah,
So maybe there will be a revival or something.
maybe. I mean, My Chemical Romance was supposed to tour this
Yeah,
year, and that tour was basically sold out everywhere. So
yeah. But probably Umbrella Academy on Netflix
that's true.
helped them a lot.
That's
But
true.
I think I'm not sure, but I think
But I also think people are wanted to go to that for the nostalgia factor. Probably
probably.
not everybody still listens to that type of music. But for me, that was the beginning of my teenage years. Towards the end of high school, though, I I'm not even quite sure how this came about. I think it was because I used to watch a lot of anime.
Okay.
And through anime, I also got into Japanese TV shows, Japanese dramas, which are so dramatic. um, but not as dramatic as what I now watch, which are Korean dramas. But that's another story. So the Japanese, I think, shows got me into Japanese music. So
Yeah,
I
like
first
J Rock or
no. So at the beginning, it was all these Japanese boy bands. So
okay,
there's this big company there. I don't know if they're still big now, but it's called Johnny's Entertainment. That's basically an entertainment company that produces boy bands in Japan.
okay,
So basically, these kids, they are training from a very young age to sing, to dance, to act, and then they get put into groups that then debut. So back then, I really liked these three bands, which were Ketun, Kanjani 8, and News, because there were some of the members that were acting in TV shows I liked, but also their songs were really catchy. But it's pure pop. Those were pure pop. So it brought me back to what I listened to more as a kid.
okay,
And through that, I got into J Rock after and Visual Kei.
okay.
And that was the end of my teens was Visual Kei. So Alice 9 and Cafe. And it's funny because when I was trying to think of all these bands again, I looked them up and I was like, yeah, this music is still pretty good. I still like it.
Yeah, but that's cool. Sometimes you forget about them because you were
Mhm.
younger and you think you're past that now. So
You
maybe a
know,
bit of shame.
there's no what I realize is my tastes change, but not that much. And maybe it's just because I'm just so open to all types of music. For me, music is music. I'm not like tied down to a genre. So I don't mind. And I sometimes I go back and I listen and I do miss that. And those Japanese bands, they took a lot of money out of me when I was ending of my teens. A lot of money. Um, because importing a CD from Japan
It's pretty
was
expensive.
expensive. Yep. And back then, Fangirl Lily also bought like random posters and stuff on eBay and on LiveJournal. Um, so yeah, a lot of money was put into those bands. A lot of money.
Yeah, but on the other side, that was cool because your parents let you do that.
Yep.
Because I'm pretty sure if I asked my mom for her credit card back in those days at the beginning of the internet, I'm pretty sure I will get a no as an answer.
Yep. Yep. Thanks, mom and dad, for supporting my Japanese band obsession back then. I really appreciate it. And what
And
about
that's
you?
cool. That was a bit different. Like I said in our This podcast, musicality. uh, just for the sake of it, we changed name because we didn't look properly for a name.
Yeah, we
So
failed. We failed.
we failed,
We
but
didn't
that's
check.
that's part of the fun. We made mistakes. That's fine. Um, During my teenage years, it's where everything happened music related to me. I discover, first of all, music, just listening to music. uh,
Right.
I remember for me, music was more than just music. Probably it's because of the age, but I remember like, um, well, you spoke a bit about for you too, but I changed style. I
Mm-hmm.
grew my I grew my hair. I
Yeah.
was really into the grunge stuff. Like I bought secondhand clothes to and sew them, patch them, made hole
Oh,
everywhere.
wow.
I had nail polish. Like I said in the last episode, I have to find some picture of that. I had
Yes, you do.
some glitters in my hair and stuff like that. I was really
Really?
into, yeah, I was really into this, and that was the thing. And just so you know, maybe for people who live in smaller place, we always like 5 to 10 years later.
I've heard that. I've heard that. I've always lived in the big city, so, but I've heard
So
that.
yeah, because so when I was in high school, secondaire 1,
So seventh grade.
seventh grade. Okay,
Yeah.
it was 1996. So Kurt Cobain was dead since '94, but
Mm-hmm.
grunge was still like the big thing.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure in Montreal, probably the scene have changed a bit.
Yeah.
So like I said, we were always late. So I was really into that kind of stuff like Pantera, Silverchair. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Today, in retrospective, I'm pretty sure Silverchair was a boys band for grunge girl, but who cares?
Who
I really,
cares?
really, 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 really love Silverchair.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a firm
Uh,
believer that music is music. You're allowed to like what you want. You're allowed to be a metal guy who would like, I don't know, like Kelly Clarkson. Um,
yeah,
you know, music is music.
and I discover many stuff because I didn't know all the possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Like now, it's probably easier to visualize. Like I know Spotify is the easiest way, but Bandcamp is the same thing. If you look at the
Right.
list of the genre, sorry,
Genre.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
I don't
there's
even.
like many possibilities. But back in the
Mm-hmm.
days, to me, that was a little square. I know it's not like that really, but I saw it as a square, and every square had his own rules, his own personalities.
Right.
Sometimes it came with a little gang on one side, and like probably you ever heard about Metallica against Megadeth, and you said about
Yeah.
Backstreet Boys against
And sync.
NSYNC and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. So I, I discovered all those stuff. So yeah, Green Day, Oasis, another probably guilty pleasure.
I love Green Day. I regret not seeing them when they came here. I was too poor.
uh, and Marilyn Manson, that was a really big thing when I was in high school.
Yeah.
And I got my first fight with my mom about because of this album because I bought it
Oh,
without asking her, and she
right.
was really, really, really pissed. Seriously, I'm pretty sure just because what was into the probably news and stuff like that, like all the drama
Mm-hmm.
around him,
Yeah.
and I remember to open my mind a bit about. I don't know if you know that band, President of the United States of America.
No.
Uh, they were a punk like joke band. They were
Okay.
playing with a guitar with only 3 strings and the bass with only 1 string,
What?
and they were singing song about peaches and about June buggy. You probably heard those songs.
I don't know. I'll have to look it
That
up.
was a yeah. So I discovered that band and Primus. They were more like funny stuff, funny
Mm-hmm.
visual, funny structure and stuff like that. I really that was like another square to explore for me, like the joke or at least the funny part.
Satire, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, a lot. And they were good musicians, but they were making fun of it,
Right.
making fun of people, making fun of stories, or make up a whole stories about, for
Hmm.
example, Primus have song about a beaver.
Oh, really?
Yes, they just made song for fun, but
Right.
that was really cool to see something different, like just left field.
Yeah. So that it is different when they're not taking themselves very seriously.
But they're doing it
But
seriously.
they are doing it seriously, yeah.
That's a little twist.
And so for me, after that, it was CEGEP. And CEGEP, that is, like we mentioned in the first episode of the series, if you didn't listen to it, is the kind of the transition between high school and university here in Quebec. And the beginning of CEGEP, I was still listening to all that J rock. So I was also that very into the style of J rock. So Visual Kei as a style, if you don't know what that is, you should Google it. Because it's very hard to explain. It's, I guess, if you mix the emo MySpace style of the late 2000, like early, well, before 2010, with some maybe like Lolita style dresses from Japan, for some bands, but not all bands. So it's basically the way I was dressed back then was hair up with a lot of hairspray, with like kind of like a mullet hairstyle, and arm warmers, leg warmers, skirts over pants. Um,
You were straight out from a Final Fantasy game.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. So that's just that was the music and the style that I was into. But then it gradually got into more of what I was listening to before. So the rock, pop rock, and anytime I say rock or punk, for me it's always pop punk or pop rock. Like I'm never into pure, heavy stuff. Um, that's Francois's part in our podcast. But so I got back into those types of bands, and that's when I was finding all of my music through MySpace. So I got into the Maine, which is still one of my favorite bands now. I was into Boys Like Girls, Faber Drive, the New City. So all these bands, a lot that don't exist anymore, which is to me very sad, because
It's a
that
part of your memories.
that is a very big part. And that's when I started to go to a lot of concerts too. And when I met some of the people who are still very important to me now, that I call my show friends, my show crew, because in my friends, there was nobody who liked the same type of music I did. So I met these people through MySpace, through concerts, and then we formed our own little gang of people who didn't know anybody who listened to the same music. And now we're still friends because of this. And they're the people that I will travel around to concerts now. Like last year, last year, yeah, 2019, we went to Arizona for the Maine festival. And
That's crazy.
it wasn't even a
That's
question
crazy.
of do we go. It was when the dates came out, we just asked each other, are we leaving 2 days in advance or 3 days before the show? And how long are we staying after the show?
After the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's another fun trip to do. It's not only about the show, but about everything around it.
Exactly.
Friends, experience, have a good lunch now because we're older, so there's just not only parties and stuff. But
Yeah. Yeah.
that's cool.
Absolutely. And it's just crazy because these were the people that, since we met online, or we met at concerts, but then after that we kind of got in touch online, I have almost daily Facebook memories with all these people about, like, we're going to this show tomorrow, or we're going to see this band next week, because that was my life for 3 years. I would go to, I think, 2 to 3 concerts a week.
Oh, nice. You were pretty
Mostly,
active.
yeah, mostly small bands. So small touring bands, we were maybe like 10 people in the crowd or 20 people in the crowd. Sometimes it was very awkward. But those were very good days. And since most of those bands, they try to make it, but only a handful actually end up making it. So most of them just end up giving up after a couple of years and getting a day job, right? So a lot of those bands don't exist. And since they existed before Spotify and everything, like their music isn't even available anymore,
Yeah,
which is sad.
there's no archive for the
Yeah.
I don't I
Yeah.
can't say dead band, but non-active band because probably they can be active, but for themselves.
Well,
Maybe they went back to their garage and just having fun together as
maybe,
friends.
but back then, they were all on MySpace.
Yeah,
So that's where they
with
put all their music.
they were
And
friend with Tom.
yes, yeah. And so yeah, so that's what music I was into. So anything that you would find in what's that magazine? Alternative Press, that American
Oh,
magazine. So the magazine about rock, emo, and that scene. Anything in there, I liked. So yeah, that was
we
my.
have to do an episode about the MySpace scene because for me, I don't know nothing like nothing about that.
Well, that back then that was really all the kind of alternative rock, emo bands were on that and very active on that. So back then, like I said, the Maine, the Somerset, a Rocket to the Moon, they were there, and those are bands that are very close to my heart still.
Yeah, that was something like I saw a couple videos of Punk Rock MBA. It's a YouTube channel, and the guy over there, Finn, I think Finn McCar,
Hmm.
whatever his name, not important, but he always talk about that time because for him that was really important. He was into hardcore music, and MySpace was a space for all those new genre, and
Right.
sometimes that was more like today with the mumble rap and stuff like that.
Hmm.
They are all friends, they share and mix and stuff,
Yeah.
but you have to know them to get to them. And MySpace was like something like that.
Yeah.
And that's funny because when you speak about, I remember about MySpace, I remember we went to MySpace, but not as a social media, but more like
Right.
Bandcamp now. Like
Hmm.
I press play, I listen. When I'm finished, I'm done. And
And you
I
go
don't.
on to the next one.
Yeah, I didn't try to have my own profile and pictures and stuff like
Oh,
that. So to me, it's really like mysterious. It's something I never adventure by myself. So
right.
I'm really curious. We should do an episode about that.
Yeah, we should. I mean, I'll try to convince my one of my friends. So one of my friends, we always say this: we met on MySpace.
Fine, that's
So
great.
I'm gonna
That's
try
a
to get her
story I want
on.
to
I'm
hear.
gonna try to get her on to here, and she's still my friend, and we've been friends for 11 years, and we met on MySpace.
Yeah, that's great.
She's one of the people who traveled with me to Arizona.
So you see, MySpace was a place for real friends.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, what about your CEGEP years?
Like I said earlier, I came from a really small village, and we don't have a strong internet connection. And
Mm-hmm.
to this day, my parents still have internet on the phone.
What?
So
Really?
really, it's still a thing. In
I,
2020,
I
it's still
did
a
not
thing
know it was
to
still
have like
possible.
high speed. No, no, no. There's many places like in up north with no real internet connection. So I remember I was in the residence.
Residence, yeah, apartments like school
Yeah, we were like
dorms.
dorms. Yeah, exactly. And we had, I don't remember the name, but that was an industrial connection for the whole CEGEP. So we actually had like a better internet than probably people in Montreal because that was like really big and they use it with, because I went to CEGEP in Rwanda, and in
Hmm.
Rwanda, the CEGEP and the university, it's the same building.
Oh, okay, I
So
see.
they have a bigger internet for research in the university,
Right.
and we use it because we were actually living in the school.
Hmm.
And I remember the first thing I did when I got into my room, I plugged my computers, put the blue wire for the high speed internet, and I went on like I think I didn't sleep for like a week because that was Casa Napster and all those peer to
Oh,
peer
yeah.
program. And I don't remember which one. I think that was OGOCT or something like that. They were like now on the Spotify. You have, if you like this band, you may
You
also
might
check
like,
those one.
mhm.
And I remember just click everything and download, 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 download,
And
download, download, download.
remember back then, it would take like hours to download one MP3.
Yes.
Hours. Hours. So
You had
anybody
to
who was too
choose
young,
wisely.
anybody who was too young to do that back then, you worked hard to get
Yeah.
that one song that might not
Yes.
be good quality because
And that might
sometimes,
not be that song
and
because
that might not
someone
be that
renamed
song,
it.
because sometimes people would record a song that they heard on the radio and
Yes.
post it. So then you hear the car, you hear the traffic, but you also hear a little bit of the song.
Yeah. So that for me, the, the dorms open a new world because
Mm-hmm.
everything was accessible like right now. And that's where and that's when I get into metal like there was nothing else. I remember I just plunged and probably would do something, a bigger discussion about that someday. But
Mm-hmm.
every small, medium town, like well, in Quebec, it's Trois-Rivières, Rwanda, Chicoutimi, Rimouski, all those satellite towns around Quebec and Montreal, they all claim they are the metal capital
That's true.
of Quebec. I don't know why. We should investigate a little bit about that, but they all want to be like the king of the hill in the metal scene. I don't know why, but I remember like big bands came to Rouen for no
That
reason
is
at all.
true.
For no reason at all. I don't know why. I don't know what's bring them there, but they were there, and I remember seeing like shows for like $3.
Oh my gosh.
So, and one cool twist, if you saw people on a punk show or on a rap show, they were at the metal show too because there was not enough show for everyone. So everyone moved from shows to shows. So that was really cool for that. And I remember that was like all the European band like Jimmy Borgir, Children of Bottom, Mars. That
Mm-hmm.
was really into European metal.
Hmm.
And I also discovered another side of music. And that's funny because that was really instructional back then, but today it's kind of maybe not cheesy, but I think they get too much credit. It's
Okay.
all the guitar bands uh, like Iron Maiden, Pink Floyd,
Mm-hmm.
uh, Led Zeppelin. You can fight me if you want, but they are great. But I remember that like back then I worshiped them, and today
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even like that relate to those bands. I like them. They bring something really cool when they were there, but they're such good and great music after that.
Right. But
So
I think they were such a big part of a generation that it's part nostalgia as well.
yeah, yeah,
And then that passion was passed down from those people to their kids,
yes, yes, totally.
which makes it, make it seem like they're just a lot bigger than they
They are,
are actually. Or,
yeah. I don't
or
know because maybe it's not same thing everywhere. But for example, if you have a festival, you always bring those older band because
yeah,
they will sell tickets.
right.
But on the other hand, I don't say they put shadows, but they they take attention, time, and energy and money from smaller band that really need that exposure and that
Exposure.
scene time.
But the problem is if you don't have those bands, those bigger bands, then nobody might come and see those smaller bands. It you get into this vicious cycle of if you don't have a big enough band to headline your festival, then your smaller bands have even less chance of getting noticed.
Yeah, yeah, it's art. It's you have to find a balance between those
Yeah.
two. But So I get really into that because I was playing guitars and all the other guys around me that was playing guitar too. They all was fan of whatever the guitarists of all those bands.
Yeah.
And there was a like this period of my time I was really into like Quebec stuff.
Really?
Yeah, a lot. Um, I remember like Jean Leloup, Daniel Bélanger,
Oh, so completely different.
yeah, Les Cowboys Fringants. When
Very,
I was
very different.
no, but when I was in CEGEP, Cowboy Fringant was like the thing.
Really? Well, I mean, I feel like
Like
they still are. I mean, they're still very
no, not
popular now, no? I'm not very
but
know like I don't really know much about the Quebec music scene. I'm sorry. But
yeah,
I feel like
yeah, they're still popular, but that's not the same thing. But because back in those days, they were like 5 years older than us, maybe.
oh, okay, I
So they
see.
were still in,
Yeah.
and they were open to do like every little show possible. You
Hmm.
want them in your back, uh, like or
Backyard?
your pool party or your backyard. They were there, so that
Okay,
was really
wow.
something. I think, and maybe I exaggerate a bit, but I'm pretty sure I saw them like 25 times in a span of 3 or 4 years.
Oh, wow.
They were everywhere, like Festival du Bœuf of a small village of 300 people. They
So
were there.
for a translation, that's the beef
Sorry.
festival.
Yeah.
Beef festival, guys. Beef
Sorry.
festival for 300 people.
Yeah, and Cowboy Fringant were there. So yeah, I was really, really into that. And that was just fun because that was mostly a party, like drinking songs and stuff like that. So
Mm,
that was my CEGEP year.
so
But
that
in
was your
fact, my
CEGEP
first
years.
CEGEP years.
So for me, after that, for university, well, my end of CEGEP, beginning of university is when I started working for an online magazine that doesn't exist anymore and makes me really sad. It was called Confront magazine. It was based in Montreal. Um, and so those days, I discovered a lot of music too through interviews, through reviews, just because back then I just had a lot of free time. So I was just like, yeah, if can you be
Why not?
there? Can you be
Yeah, why
there
not?
at 2 p.m. on Wednesday to interview this band? Sure. Do you want to review this? Sure. Um, so I discovered a lot of music um, because you'd have to do research, right? Before an interview. You can't just go into the
Yeah,
interview
at
without
least the
knowing
minimum.
anything. So back then I did a lot of interviews and I'm very lucky. This is probably something that we're going to start talking about another time too, but I got to interview almost all of my favorite bands in those days. So,
That's cool. That's really cool.
yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, there are some that I didn't get a chance to and I'm really sad, but that's life. You can't get everything. But I I I I was very open, so I discovered a lot of music through that. But despite that, I didn't get into a lot of bands. Like I would listen to them and say, "Oh yeah, they're cool." I'd maybe add a couple of songs onto my playlist, but it would never be enough that I would go, "Oh yeah, this is my next band that I'm
Yeah,
going to
you
listen to their
just scratch the
whole."
surface and you
Yeah,
never dig deep.
exactly.
But do you think there's a link between that and what's the name, the iPod and stuff like that? Because that was the beginning of like only 2 or 3 singles out of
That's
an album.
true. So I think yeah. So I think there are probably two types of music listeners, which is also something that I would probably want to do a full episode on, because there are the people who just scratch the surface, like you say, who will just listen to a couple of songs here and there and don't feel the need to listen to the whole discography versus me when I really get into a band. I will listen to their whole discography and then I will only listen to their whole discography for a couple of months or more. And I've done that the past couple of years. So 2 years ago, I got back into the Maine because so before getting into that, I'm gonna finish my university years because then we're gonna get into now after. But after when I got into optometry school, that's when I kind of stopped because optometry, it was very demanding. Um, I didn't have time to go to concerts anymore. I couldn't go to interviews because I couldn't skip class to get into an interview at 2 p.m.
A different world.
like I used to in my other university program and CEGEP. So, and since I was just always studying, I was basically only listening to movie soundtracks back
Oh, that's
then.
interesting.
Yeah, because I couldn't listen to music that would get me singing along, even if it's just singing along in my head, because I had to learn a ton of stuff by heart.
Yeah, and new music is worse because you have to concentrate on the new song and you
Exactly.
want to be there for your study, so
Yeah.
it's pretty hard.
So, but I know all of the movie soundtracks. If you play me a Hans Zimmer song, I will be able to
Oh,
say it's Hans Zimmer now.
a
Maybe
fun
not
fact,
now
my
anymore. Maybe not now anymore. It's been a while.
yeah, but yeah, sometimes it's you probably remember more than you think. But fun fact, my wife do that every day when she's working.
She plays Hans Zimmer.
No, but there's a epic movie
Oh yeah,
soundtrack
that
and
that was
stuff like
my
that.
that was my optometry study jam. Hmm.
Yeah, but like you said, she want to be really focused, but she doesn't want to do it like with the white noise and. But
Exactly.
okay, if you listen to that in the future, we are in a lockdown right now, so everyone is working from home. So now the white noise is not your colleague or the fan; it's your fridge, it's your cat. It's a bit different. It's another
Yeah.
world.
Yeah. Welcome to 2020.
And I hope it will end with 2020.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. And so those were my university years. OST music. So that's all I
So,
listened to towards the end.
so your university years were like my kid year.
I guess. Well, the beginning of my university wasn't, but towards the end, yeah, I reverted to just basics. I just didn't have time anymore.
Yeah, but that worth it.
Yes,
Now,
because
now you enjoy your job.
now I love my job. I'm an optometrist, and I have all the time in the world at home to put into music now.
Yay!
Yeah.
Happy ending.
And so what about your university years? How did that change for you?
That changed a lot. We can do probably 2 or 3 episodes about that, but like you, I think, but maybe not as much as me. I changed a lot of time. I went to university like 2 years, came back to CEGEP 2 other years, went back to university, changed program like 3 times. I did 2 certificates and on and on and on and on.
Mm-hmm.
So with all those changes, sorry,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
uh, my music interests changed a lot too.
Right.
First of all, I stopped completely like every heavy metal band, every hardcore, whatever. I stopped listening to it,
Really?
and I don't know why. I don't know what happened. I just lost interest, I guess.
Your
I
your ears were just telling you it's enough.
maybe I don't know. That's weird because I still remember going to some black metal show. That's probably not the most extreme, but one of the most extreme style of metal.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't listening to it at all. Uh, there's I had a phase, in fact, of world music.
Really?
Yeah, I was listening to. Okay, let's do a little list for fun. Uh, all the reggae stuff, Manu Chao.
Really?
I was really into African music, Ali Farka Toure. I don't know if I pronounce it correctly.
I
It's a
wouldn't
guy
be
from
able to
Mali.
say.
He's a blues man in Mali. He's dead now, but he's a big name in Mali, I'm sure. Amadou and Mariam, Sublime, Long Beach Double Stars, all the really. I was like the cliche kids with the Che Guevara shirt.
That
That was really
was
that.
you.
And I also, and thanks to your dad to try to help me with that, I jump into the bandwagon of classic French music. And when I
Mm-hmm.
say French music, it's from France. It's a style. In French, we say chanson française.
Yeah.
It's more about the words, the word, jeu de mots is wordplay.
Yeah, the wordplay. I think that's something
Uh,
that you can say. The
yeah, all the
play on words. The
play
play
on
on
words, okay,
words.
and all the poetry behind it. Like the music is important, but is a support for the words.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the total opposite of Nirvana when I start listening to music. But I was really, really, really into that. Like I saw so many bands, but that was funny because probably in France they were like really small band.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them were street artists
Oh, okay. Wow.
because in I don't know, for a little guy in Quebec that was that, but uh, all the street circus it's still a thing.
Mm,
I don't say it's big, but it's still a thing.
mm-hmm.
So there's many bands in that list that they were like multi instrumentalists. They were family with kids.
Oh, okay.
They
That's
were living in
interesting.
like a gypsy style stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They had like theater, circus stuff, uh, puppets, activity for kids. Like, for example, there was a band called Les Hurlements de Léo.
Okay. So to
Uh,
translate, that's like Leo's shouts.
yeah, and they talk the back. What? Don't try to translate
No,
that
I'm not
one.
gonna try to translate
But
that.
they were like big family who they bought some chapiteaux. Sorry,
Tents, like
circus
circus
tent
tents. Yeah.
to travel around Europe to do their own show on
Oh
their own
wow.
ways because they had family, kids. They were like people with animals and jugglers.
Jugglers, yeah.
So that was really like the left side of my mind. I was really into that. That was okay. I had to admit I was studying literature. Maybe there's a link.
Maybe. Well, that definitely I think opens you up to more of the world.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I was really like so into that. I remember that my roommates were so sick of hearing those songs. And that was the time where music DVDs were really popular. I don't know why at that precise time, but
Mm-hmm.
I remember going to Archambault,
Mm-hmm.
downtown Montreal, and there were like a big section, all those shows and special edition of CDs. They were
Mm-hmm.
really popular. I had them all. I listened to them every time. I had those CDs in my cars that was running over and over and over and over again. I think I burned everyone with that.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. When you like something and you just want everybody to listen to it, right?
Yeah, yeah. You're with me or you're against me, but
Yeah,
you will hear it.
exactly. You're gonna hear it, yeah. So wow, so that's a quite interesting change of music styles all of a sudden.
Totally, totally. And
And
I still listen to those today, but you have to see my wife's face when I'm starting those music. She remember a lot.
she was there during that time.
Yeah, yeah. That's when we start getting together
Oh, I see.
uh,
so
for
she
her.
knew you at that time, and then now we're gonna get into what you're listening to after, but now it's a little bit different again, huh?
Yes, yes, a lot.
So
So now
yeah,
I guess now with all the time you have, now things get maybe better than university time.
yeah. So for me, the summer, so a year after, well, no, 6 months after I graduated, I started to work full time, didn't have to study anymore, had all the free time in the world in the evening when I got home. Um, and so even then, I wasn't really in getting into music back yet. But that winter, my friends were planning on going to the last Warp Tour that
the
we
the
talked about
last
this.
one.
So the last quote unquote one, the last time that it toured, actually. So we decided to do a couple of dates in that. I decided to join just because, out of nostalgia, because Warp Tour was like my jam back when I was a teen CEGEP. I loved all the bands on that tour. So I just had to be there for the last one. So that year, the Maine was one of the bands that was headlining. And back then Confront had already closed down. But two of the girls started another magazine at the same, which was Into the Airwaves, which lasted, I think, 2 years. And so they basically recruited everybody who was at Confront who was still interested. So I jumped back on and I did an article that year about the Warped Tour. And so what I did was I looked up all the bands from each stage.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I listened to a song of all of the bands on that Warped Tour to recommend one for each stage.
Okay.
And so I don't remember all of them. I remember I recommended the Maine. And that was when
That's cheating.
No, but it's actually so yes, I loved them when I was younger, but then I kind of dropped out of following them a little bit. And then I really got back into them that year. But that was also the year that I discovered With Confidence, which is this great Australian band. They're so talented, and they were playing Warped Tour. I'm really sad because I only got to see. We went on 2 dates, and I only got to see one song of theirs because how Warped Tour was set up is the stages are scattered. And the Warped Tour that we went to, one of them was at a little like amphitheater. And it was so packed that if you left that amphitheater area, you might not be able to get back in.
Oh, okay.
So there was the main stages, the 2 main stages was in this amphitheater. The rest of the stages were outside of that in the parking lot. So
I guess all the band outside had like less people.
Probably because we when we looked at the list, we liked like half of the bands that were going to play on the main stage that day.
Choices.
So yeah, exactly. Choices. So we kind of just stayed there, and so I missed With Confidence the when they were at the other stages, but I got to see them when they came to Montreal. So I redeemed myself, and I regret not seeing them at Warped Tour. But that year there was also state champs, and there was water parks that I also discovered that year through my research for that article that I wrote. So after Warped Tour, I was only listening to the Maine and water parks for a while.
So that means like 6 months?
Yeah, about that. But also Warped Tour made me decide to go see the Maine in Arizona with my friends.
That sparked something.
Yeah. So because there was that 6 months period between the two, I listened to a lot of the Maine during that period because I wanted to be ready for the festival. And then after that, I went to see that year, like 2018, 2019 was the year that I got back into concerts as well. And the year that I realized it's okay to go to concerts alone.
Oh, you did something I never experienced it.
Really? Well, I mean, I've done it before because I used to sometimes have to review concerts for Confront. But this was one of the first times that I went to a concert on my own for my personal pleasure, was to see One OK Rock, which was this great Japanese band. The singer is so talented. The show they put on is amazing. I actually went to that show because I wanted to see the opening band, which was Water Parks. And after I heard One OK Rock, though, I fell in love. I had known some of their songs before. I knew they were good, but I was blown away by that concert.
Oh, that's nice.
And so I after that I listened to one OK Rock only for about 3-4 months.
Yeah, but I
And
think that's a part of the experience
of the
of to going to a show. Like you want to be there, you want to know the song, you want to sing along, you
yeah,
want
but
to
since I got
experience it.
into One OK Rock like at the show, I got into them. So after the show, I listened only to them for a while.
Yeah, but that was a great discovery. So
Absolutely.
you
And
wanted to
then
live it.
yeah. And then after that, I went to a With Confidence show a few months later. So a couple of months before and then a couple of months after, I only listened to With Confidence. But so yeah, so now it's a lot of mostly what I listen to is the main
Day 6. You
day
have to
six.
say
So yeah,
day six.
day six that I discovered when everything was closed down. When when Montreal was basically quarantining. So my clinic was closed for a month and a half. So I was home and I listened. No, at the beginning, I listened to a lot of All Time Low because they had released a new album. I
Yes.
listened to BTS a little bit because I have friends who are really crazy about BTS and I never really listened to them. And even now, like I think I've listened to a couple of their albums, but they are very talented, but it's not the type of music that I gravitate towards.
Okay.
So there's the
Be
rock.
careful what you're
I
saying
know, I
about
know. They are
BTS.
very good. They are
We
very
love them.
talented. Please don't attack me. No, it's just they're for me, they're just missing the little rock element that I like in my bands. But they are I do love the music though. So I do listen to them every once in a while, but they're not the type of band that I will listen on repeat. The real first Korean band that I really got into was Day6, and that I've only been listening to them almost exclusively since May. We're in October. I've only been listening to Day6 since May. I bought all their albums. I've imported all of their albums from Korea. It's a lot. That was a lot of customs that I had to pay. And some of them I actually have to get from the States because the albums were either sold out or they were very hard to find. So I bought 2 of them from resellers. And I gave up totally on getting their first album because it's reselling for $900 online.
Only that.
Yeah.
That's
But
an interesting phenomenon. It's I don't know how to say that because if you compare that to what now, I don't think there's been in North America or Europe that are big enough or at least have enough traction with their fan to have like an internet army, sold out show like online and in real person.
yeah.
They sells albums and pictures and whatever they want to sell with their names on it. It
Yeah.
sells like hotcakes. So
Yeah.
it I don't know. I can't say they break the formula, but seriously, we have to give them props for what they are
For
doing.
yeah, BTS, yeah, they're that's something. They're they're
Yeah, but the
fan
Korean, all
yeah, the
The
Korean,
Korea, I don't know. Is it boys band? How you?
the K-pop. K-pop, I
Uh,
think, is the right term because yes, there are boy bands, but the girl groups are also very popular. The
yeah,
girl
but
groups are a thing.
it's
My
really
friend
something
paid
else.
my friend in total, I think it cost him $500 to see Blackpink.
Like online or
In concert, in concert.
okay, yeah, boy, that expense. No, I don't judge it. I'm just surprised.
Yeah.
It's not judgment. I I pay $400 for one ticket, so I bought two because I didn't want to go alone. So I bought another ticket for my wife for Roger Waters,
Oh wow.
bassist from Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I can't judge, but I'm just surprised because every every band or at least media around music in North America is crying like the scene is dying, kids don't buy
Mm-hmm.
music anymore and blah blah blah. But on the other hand, if you look, I know I can take a bubble and spray it as a whole thing, but Korean band, K-pop, whatever, they are more than popular.
Yeah. But
They
see,
are
so
big.
this
It's something else.
this is going to be a discussion for another time because this is definitely going to take way too much time. There's a lot of things that
Yeah,
need to
yeah, a lot.
be dug up to really fully understand this phenomenon. Um, I feel like for me though, Day6, they're not as big. Of course, like they're nowhere near as big as BTS. Um, but even then, like it's just what I realized when I got into this band is all the content that these bands give and
Yeah.
all the merch that you can get. So an album is not just an album. An album is a photo book or two because there's always two versions. There's never just one album.
Oh, nice.
So it's a photo book that comes with a photo card or two or three, like sometimes a postcard, sometimes a bookmark. And so it comes with all this stuff. And I think that's also why fans get so attached and everything because they just want to collect everything.
Yeah, yeah. They probably bank on that. Like
Yeah.
the collectors.
And so yeah, so that's me. Recently, my loves are Day6 and the Maine. The Maine are always there in background as well. But I've been neglecting them a little bit. I need to listen to them again soon because they're having a concert soon online.
Yeah, and they have a Christmas album, something
They
like that?
have a Christmas album. So soon when Halloween passes, since there's no Thanksgiving, well, since Thanksgiving has already passed in Canada, I go straight to Christmas music in November. So I'm gonna listen to Hopefully by the Maine
Oh,
soon. So yeah. So that's my now. It's the Maine Day6 with confidence, state champs, and One OK Rock, according to my Spotify statistics. That's what I listen to.
yeah. That's a good wrap up of your whole history as
Yeah,
now.
and I think BTS is climbing up a little bit.
They are always there.
They're always climbing up everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, they are watching you.
So what about you? What's your current state?
Current situation, there's like two phases. The first one is when I finally finished school and had a real job. I realized some dreams maybe. I went to all the big stadium shows. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't able to go when I was in school. So Radiohead, Foo Fighters,
Mm-hmm.
all the big shows, just to experience them
Yeah.
and share them, because normally that the kind of show my wife come with me,
Mm-hmm.
because she's not a fan of all the more extreme music I listen to, and she doesn't like the crowd either. So that doesn't help. But
I understand that. I
it's not that bad when you know the codes. But all of it for one of the biggest thing that was like we went to Boston to see Foo Fighters.
Oh, really?
We went a year after he broke it. Well, Dave
Is
Grohl broke his legs because
yeah.
he broke his legs in Boston, and after the day after before Boston, and he said, "I will go back when I will be ready." Blah blah blah. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you ever saw a Paul McCartney show, but he's
No.
in the same vibe. He gave a show of 3 hours and a half,
Right.
mostly with no breaks,
Oh wow.
like no breaks.
And it's them for 3 hours. It's not like
three
opening
hours
band and then opening band and then opening band.
No, 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 it's worse than that. The shows normally last 5 hours because there's opening bands,
Oh.
and normally they try to bring like an obscure band that
Right.
nobody remember about from that city. After that, they have like the real first band, and after that, it's
Mm-hmm.
them. But it's always like a really nice shows. But the first phase was that me and my wife, we just tried to go to all the big shows we weren't able to go before. So that was really cool. But after that, a little bit like you, I just like come to the realization that I'm not just metal. I'm not just punk or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all that. So after a couple of years, I just like bring all of this together, mix it up, and so I can listen to a really immature punk song about jerking off in your socks, and after that, I will have like something progressive music with syncope and whatever,
and,
like
and
really.
and and then let's not forget your Backstreet Boys song.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I totally. And the next song is a stoner song of like 20 minutes about a wizard in the desert or whatever it is. I just mix all those.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, all my guilty pleasure, I just embrace them.
That's
So
cool.
Backstreet Boys, Sheryl Crow, Robin, all those things you're not supposed to like or you don't want to share with other people. I don't care. There's thing I don't like, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not that bad. And just like you, during the first lockdown, I had a lot of time and nothing else to do. I tried
Mm-hmm.
to discover like a section of music I never listened to before,
Right.
rap.
Really?
That is not a thing. First of all, because when I was a teen, I was in the rock metal side, so all
Right.
the punk stuff was the bad stuff. So I didn't went there back in the day,
Mm-hmm.
and I maybe because in Quebec that wasn't that popular at the beginning.
Right.
It's really big now, but maybe like 5, 10 years ago that wasn't that big. So
Mm-hmm.
I tried to explore a bit, like Run the Jewels got a CD out during the lockdown. I was blown away because to me something like that didn't exist,
Right.
but that was a thing. And I discovered all the trap stuff, all the I don't know, like it's like the I would say punk slash emo punk sad boy stuff. They are like the new metal for the kids now
Okay.
because they are rapper in their 20s, but they have shirts like Cradle of Filth, Cannibal Corpse,
Mm,
and they try to introduce a bit of music,
mm-hmm.
like with real instrument in rap. So I just
Huh.
try. I went a bit in that direction. It's
Right.
pretty new for me,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe I will find something cool. And because
Maybe.
everything is rap now, so when you can fight them, join them.
Well, yeah, I mean, I feel like there's music, a lot of music is kind of, so like you said before, there was a lot of categories, a lot of boxes before, but now everything is kind of merging.
Yes.
And I feel like it's more and more like this. People aren't defined, even bands aren't really defined by a genre anymore. One of the questions that I used to ask bands was, how would you qualify your music? And then they would just mix up a bunch of terms because you can't categorize it as just one thing anymore.
Yeah, they are music.
Yeah. It's like back then, back when we were younger, it was Linkin Park.
Yeah, that like the I would say new metal stuff.
Yeah.
That's another great discussion. The name of all those categories and
Yeah.
genre. I don't understand all that
Yeah.
those words. I don't know who decide that. First of
Nope.
all,
No, I don't know either. And so it's very confusing and there's a lot of terms. Like I don't know, like I get why they want to do that, but I don't think it's useful
but
anymore.
it's probably useful just to name it like when it's beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's the sound from the Boston scene, whatever. You understand where it's coming from, but after that, when all the bands do that thing, it's not your thing anymore. So
Yeah.
it's a new. It's really confusing.
Yeah. Yep, it is. And so one last thing about your current music. Didn't you link a couple of Japanese songs to me? You said,
Me?
yeah, you sent me some Japanese songs when I don't remember. This was before we started talking about the podcast.
Maybe I try to explore like other stuff. And I know that the Japanese scene is really, really, I like the Japanese society in general, but when they like a concept, like they jump right in.
Hmm.
And I really like I would call that the Mad Band.
I don't know.
It's really technical and mood swing and
Hmm.
polyrhythmic stuff, and they have some really, really, really nice bands in that style. So
Huh,
yeah, I
okay.
like that too. But I don't think did we talk about that in the last
Uh,
episode. But I don't have any formation in music. I play the guitar, I play the bass, I play in a band. But show me, I don't
a
what's the name,
scale.
the scale. I don't understand that.
All right.
I
Okay.
I can put some stuff, but when I listen to that music, to me, it's like looking at someone speaking in another language. I'm just
Mm,
amazed what they
mm-hmm.
can do because to me, it's like impossible to do.
Well, so I think it's time to wrap it up. This was longer than what we wanted, I think.
Yeah, sorry.
But I mean, this was expected. We were gonna delve deep into our histories, and there was no shortcut. There was no way to do a
Possible.
shortcut or anything. Yeah, no. So well, it was nice to hear your trajectory from your non-musical childhood to now having a musical podcast with me.
A new fun adventure.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you have any last anything else that you would like to say?
For myself, no, but if you want to share your journey with us, maybe there's some other band we never heard about or other scene like MySpace. To me, it's a new scene, but I know it's now gone. But
Yeah. And yeah, for me, I mean, I just started liking this Korean pop rock. So if you have any more, I know that there's the Rose that is very good. Also that I kind of checked out, but you can always send that my way.
yay, we'll discover new stuff.
Yeah. So this was the Sparkling Harmonies. We're your hosts, Lily.
And Francois, and
And
join us on Instagram. I think you start a little something over there.
yep, I started our Instagram, and we'll have our website up probably by the time it's released. This is released, we'll have it up. So you'll be able to find us everywhere on the web.
Yay.
Bye.
Bye. Have a good night.
Or good morning whenever you're listening to this.